Good evening and welcome to the Richmond Raceway, home of round number 5 of the KBueno Racing Season 2 Truck Series action, live on the KBueno Racing Network. So glad that you can join us on this Monday, President's Day evening on February 16th. We're alongside Nate Polite. I'm Francisco Bacallao, and joining us in the booth for this evening is going to be Jaden Porter as well. We got the three-man booth going here from the short track in Virginia. And Nate, after a wild Charlotte race that saw a multitude of different strategies towards the end of the race, we now find ourselves in position where Michael Walls has been really dominant and he's looking to try and go for three in a row.
Yeah, it's been a chaotic season across the first four races so far, and a little bit less chaotic at Charlotte a week ago, but still had a level of chaos to it that we've seen all season long. And I think Richmond is a track that invites chaos. It eats up your tires. It's going to shred the right rear off with the thing. And it's going to be really tough to control, especially coming out of turn 4 onto the front stretch is going to be a trouble spot all night long. And this is an opportunity for a lot of drivers to make jumps in the point standings as well. We've got, a huge opportunity for shakeup. I'm excited to see how this one plays out in 150 laps time.
And Jaden, just kind of before we go into the gridding here, give us what is the key to being able to be successful here at Richmond Raceway.
I think Nate hit it perfectly with just protecting your rears. This track, it eats up your right rear tire, and if we get some long runs, it's going to be about whoever can control those right rear tires the best. The braking's a little interesting on entry to the corner. If you overshoot the corner, you can get loose and get into the guy in front of you and cause a big wreck. So just being nice and smooth and keeping your car straight is really the kind of key to being good at Richmond, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to have to see who can master it here tonight here from the three-quarter mile track in Virginia. We got cars lining up on the grid already, and on the pole is your defending champion of the series. Justin Rott will roll off from the top position alongside Michael Walls. And it was just a very little bit that separated them in the qualifying session after split sessions occurred here tonight. Last week's race winner looking to go three in a row with Jamie Wright rolling off third. Great qualifying effort by both drivers on your second row, with Fidel Fabian going down into fourth. Stephen Maggio is going to be rolling off into fifth with Rivers Jones in sixth. Seventh will go to Duncan Fall with Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in the eighth spot. Gabe Cazzola, after a solid top 10 effort from last week, rolls off ninth with Randall Payne in 20th. Nate.
Row 6, we got Robbie Troop alongside Nicholas Bauman. Troop missed last week. He's back in the saddle. Joaquin Stewart alongside Randy Showers in row 7. Row 8, it's Trevor Haley and Mikey Neal, a pair of winners from last season, trying to find victory lane. Row 9, Tyler Murray next to Christopher Bishop. And rounding out the top 20, Alexander Schumacher and Charlie Beyer.
Third and 21st is Jesse Moody. 22nd, Jason Hastings. 23rd, Andrew C. Davis. 24th, Brandon Showers. 25th, Alex Urbina. 26th, Jared Wilson. 27th, Timothy Tyler. And 28th, Timothy Cook.
And that rounds out our 28 truck field here tonight from Richmond Raceway. And I think one of the keys here tonight is going to be managing strategy. Charlotte, we got a little bit more green flag action than we had been for most of the season up to this point. And I think if we get a little bit of that here tonight, when you pit, what kind of strategy you're able to make out of it is going to be very important. And for Justin Rott, trying to go back to victory lane after winning the championship, it'll be a huge point for him to stay ahead of his rival in that 7 truck. We're getting ready for round number 5 here of season number 2, and into the restart zone we go for the first time this evening, and we're green from Richmond. And everybody gets away clean here through lap number 1. It's Justin Rott maintaining the top spot. And it's Jamie Wright fighting back on the bottom, trying to take second away from Michael Walls.
The inside lane fired off really well off the start of the race. Wright and Maggio each up a lane. Justin Rott set and sail. He's got the truck in the wind. We saw Maggio really ride high on the exit of turn 2 on the first lap, pushing Fidel Fabian up the racetrack, but everyone's able to keep it in gear, keep it in the racing groove.
already noticing a few drivers getting loose off turn 4. Maggio just got loose right there, and the ball got loose. I don't know if these guys are going to take care of the rear tires, or just going to send it the whole run.
And you see right here, Maggio trying to use that bottom, and that bottom is going to be tricky as the yellow flag waves. For the first time this evening, looks like trouble in the backstretch for the 83 of Timothy Tyler. Relatively clean on his truck, but most likely the reason why. Our first yellow waves here on lap number 4. Let's see if we can get the replay and see exactly what happened to bring out this.
We've had cautions early and often in a lot of races this season. We go on board with the 83 Tyler right here. Right in the top of the corner, gets up on the outside of Jared Wilson. His snaps around on him. You see another truck up in front of him was also very low on the racetrack on the backstretch there. So, you know, you mentioned those trucks getting loose off of 4, Jade, and it's happening in turn 2 as well.
It's really bad off turn 2. That's racing at Richmond myself. That's honestly the worst place for it is turn 2. A lot of people talk about turn 4 maybe because of the start-finish line, but turn 2, it's a tight exit too, especially if we're in the second groove, and it's just really loose. The turn 2 is a trouble spot.
I've also had my fair share of experiences here at Richmond with both of these corners. Turn 2, the wall comes up to you so quickly, and turn 4 seems to just go on forever, and you try to get greedy with the power, and that's where it starts to slide under you. And with these trucks, with how much squirrelier they are than in years past, since the updates that they brought to the vehicle last year, it just exacerbates that a little bit more. So you got to be careful and take care of those rear tires, which is what we see out of our usual front-running suspects like Justin Rott, Michael Walls, Steven Maggio. Those guys are really able to keep the rear tires under their belt. And this could be a really good telling card from when we do get to a track like, let's say, the Bristol Motor Speedway in a few weeks' time. That's our next short track on the schedule.
Yeah, tire management is always so crucial at these short tracks. And you mentioned Steven Maggio is one of those guys that saves tires with the best of them. Another one that'll raise you, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer back there in that Gardner Marsh 00 truck. He also is probably someone that's, you know, hoping for some longer runs in this race.
We should be getting the 1 to green here when we come across the line. And Jane, and I just kind of want to ask you, just because you participated in on the other side of these Richmond races where it seems like cautions go on forever, from a driver's standpoint, how do you manage going through that situation of just repeated yellows?
Honestly, it gets annoying at some point, especially if you're a driver that loves long runs like I do. But you just gotta, honestly, you just start thinking, how am I gonna keep my track position the whole time? And if we somehow, or if we get a long run at some point, how am I gonna be able to keep my track position but also save tire as well? So it's just, there's a lot of things that go through your mind, especially when we start getting cautions like this. But at some point, this race will go green at some point. They always do.
They always seem to have that nature towards them. As we line back up into the restart zone for the second time this evening, it's Justin Rott leading them, getting a great launch to clear for the top spot. Michael Walls gets a better launch this time to try and hang on to second as they fan back out to turn number 1. And you see the jockeying for position going on further back. That's Rivers Jones that drifted just slightly up the track. He's going to have an advantage on the 62 as Maggio looks to take a 3.
Steven Maggio, no surprise that he's going to be aggressive trying to get track position and then try to save his tires is usually his MO. He has that leeway as one of the best tire savers in the series. A 3-wide move into turn 3 never hurt nobody.
And he's able to continue to fight down on the bottom. Jamie Wright holding his own on that outside lane, and Michael Walls still holding toe to your race leader, but you see just how tough it is throughout this entire top 15 or so. Everybody really double file all the way through as Robbie Troop has made his way into the top 10.
I'm really surprised to not see anybody really like, oh, Mikey almost got some contact with Trevor in turn 1. But it's kind of weird not to see nobody like settle in and try to skid in line and save tire. Everyone seems to be going for track position. It must be really hard to pass tonight, honestly.
You see right there those positions settling on through, and almost everybody at the front now is kind of settled on through. Notice the tail, they've got single file, and that's the key with Richmond, is that you want to be nestled up on that bottom around that yellow line. You can find some grip there and whoever can roll that bottom the best can give you some great mid-corner speed, and you might not have to push the road tires as much, as Micah almost peeked to the inside for the race lead.
Mike is going to keep trying to test Justin Rott. We've talked to Walls a few times this season. A couple of wins is not good enough for him. He wants to absolutely dominate and leave no question of who should be winning it all in this KBRN Truck Series this season. So he's never someone that's going to be willing to sit in line and just click off laps. We see it week in, week out with that 7 truck. And right behind him, Jamie Wright, he's poised for a big night tonight. Ethan Fonseca Moreno is not in this race. Ryan Bogey, AJ Green. That's 8th, 10th, and 11th in points. There is opportunity for a guy like Jamie Wright, who sits just inside the top 15, to leapfrog back into the chase standings in a race like tonight. Another one that has an opportunity like that is Gabe Pizzola, a few more spots back. That's going to be something to watch all night long, these guys trying to get back into the chase standings. We're almost halfway through the regular season already, guys.
Wow. It's going by in a blink of an eye, but for Jamie Wright there, Nate, you're absolutely right. He's turned things around this season. He showed some glimpses towards the latter end of season 1 in that playoff chase, whilst not being a part of it. But this season, definitely looking like he's going to be a part of it if he's able to continue the kind of runs he's been able to put up this season. Has shown more speed, has gotten some better results, and so far early on in 15 laps in this Richmond race, as Maggio looks to try and put the pressure on him, he's able to run inside the top 5, and that's really going to help out in that playoff push. As look how close that 51 truck stays to the 89, Jaden.
Yeah, that Maggio is all over Jamie Wright. At some point, Jamie Wright's gonna have to either give up position or what. I'm really surprised to see Maggio being this aggressive. I don't know how good that's gonna be on his tires. I thought he would just sit in line, and I feel like if he just sat in line and tried to save tire, he would be able to save tire better than the top 3. He seems to just be trying to go for it non-stop right now. Just really interesting in my opinion.
Probably trying to keep an eye out on the race leaders themselves. Doesn't want to let them get too out in front. But we'll see what that does to his tires, as looks like Walls maybe made a mistake, because now that 89 is on his back bumper.
Yeah, Justin Rock has to pull away a little bit, stretch his legs in the lead, and Michael Walls has to get on a little bit of defense with that, aggression that he's had. But look at the difference in the line and how close to the yellow line Stephen Maggio was able to get compared to the 89 up in front of him. A couple laps ago, I was surprised that we didn't see the 51 move the 89 out of the way. A couple more corners like that right there, where Maggio's got to get on the brakes and pop up the racetrack. It wouldn't be too surprising to see that 89 knocked up the lane by the 51.
And there's Rivers Jones showing up to the scene. He's gotten up to 5th in all of this, and he's hanging just behind Steven Maggio. What a start to the season it's been for this 26 machine. Got the win at Daytona for Dirty South Racing, and he's been putting on some solid performances, in position to win a few races ever since. And he's right here in the top 5 now. Yeah, he's second in points behind Michael Walls as Maggio finally gets by the 89.
Just want to give a couple of shout outs. Kind of a shout out to Duncan Fall. He's having a pretty good run in the top 10 right now. He's a P7 right in front of Robbie. Doing a pretty good job. I think he's saving his tires pretty well. I don't see that car or truck sliding at all. He might be someone to watch if we go green here. Another driver I would watch if we start getting some long runs here. This is the guy who taught me how to run Richmond. Mikey Neal is really good at saving tires in everything that we run. So I would watch out for him to be really fast on long runs if we get him.
There's that 8 truck as he sits now in the 14th spot after getting past Randy Showers. And for the 61 of Duncan Fall, he's trying to master some of that Tyler Reddick hopes and luck, because that's the scheme that Reddick ran when he won the Daytona 500 yesterday. So for Duncan Fall running 8th, he's hoping he can get closer to the front and try and snatch a second career victory. Maybe not so similar fashion, but definitely somewhat near.
The same sponsor that Bubba Wallace won the Brickyard 400 with as well, so Chumba Casino has a little bit of luck to it. We go back to Mikey Neal. Remember, Fran, last season at Iowa, which is probably as close as we get to Richmond, as unique of a track Richmond is, Mikey Neal was poised to win that race, but for Justin Rott's remarkable fuel save at the end of that one. So plenty to look out for in that 8 truck as we get to perhaps a long run, or 20 or so laps into this one.
And another one of those contenders that was in that race was the 38 of Kyle Benson, who's not here tonight. There's his teammate and team owner Tyler Murray, who just went by the 20 for 11th place. And And no Kyle Benson here tonight is going to be a big one. No Ethan, no Kyle. So numerous guys that you would normally consider in the top 5 of these truck fields are not here, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy as Justin Rock continues to pull away from Michael Walls, and this top 5 is looking pretty formidable with Fabian slowly closing the gap back up on Rivers Jones.
Looks like Steven Maggio, he finally made a move on Jamie Ryder. He's up to 3rd now, and now he's working on Michael Walls. Still not running, they're a little faster than Justin that lap. Or no, a little slower. They're all kind of running the same lap times right now still, so tires aren't completely coming in yet. But give it about 10 to maybe 15 more laps, we should see who the long run guy is going to be.
And there's the onboard looking back from Michael Walls as Maggio continues to close the gap. And the difference in lap time between your leader and second place is not much. It's only a few hundredths of a second, but you start applying that over a multitude of laps, and that's how you end up at a gap of nearly 3/4 of a second. And if we continue to stay green like this, that's good news for Justin Rock. Maggio doesn't want to let that one machine too far ahead.
Yeah, and you have to wonder with Rott setting his own pace, what the tire management looks like in that one truck. Because he doesn't have anyone to pace off, he doesn't have anyone to beat, and he's pulling away. The truck looks pretty stable, doesn't look like it's sliding all too much. But it's always a concern is that you might run yourself out of tire when you're having such a lead like this and are continuing to drive off. So it's something that we kind of going to keep an eye on as this run gets long here. Coming up to lap 30 this time by. This race already a fifth of the way through.
Already a fifth of the way through, and after the late start, I'm sure that not many people will be against the idea of just getting through this a little bit quicker, but also I'm sure most of the field after the first few races are looking forward to some consecutive green flag runs, especially on a short track. That'll be a sign of good things to come over the next few races. Battle for 8th. There's Duncan Fall trying to hold off Joaquin Stewart, who made a charge to the inside. Robbie Troop in the back of all this, and that 61 really got a field behind him as they almost go 3 wide.
Reminded me a lot of last week's race in Charlotte where the field split up behind one of the drivers this time. I think Duncan might have been one of those drivers last week as well that was at that kind of gap in the field. And it looks like we've got a repeat of that. Troop is diving to the bottom. Tyler Murray's up running the Shane Van Gisbergen line up around the outside of the racetrack. It looks like Zola smacks the Willis a little bit as well.
And
Tyler got in the back of Robbie right there.
Yeah,
he's been making that line work.
Yeah, I've seen him for a few laps now trying to make that line work as Troop goes back to the inside on Fall, and look how deep he is on the brakes. Trying to clear that 61, who's been able to make that second lane work in his own right. Still there on the outside of turn number 4, and he's going to maintain the dog in this fight. But Troop nearly gets clear, and I think he does. He's finally clear for 8th.
Yeah, that second lane can just be so effective when someone's trying to pass you on the inside, because you have the opportunity to just pinch their exit and really not let them get back to the throttle. We saw that's how Duncan Fall was able to keep the 96 behind him. You see already, Troop got past him, and he's put another truck length between the two of them. Starting to drive off. Clearly a faster truck. You can defend on the top side pretty effectively in this racetrack.
And there's a run by Gabe Gazul now to the inside of Tyler Murray after diamonding the exit. And he's downshifting, so that's a strategy we sometimes see at tracks like Richmond and Phoenix, but this is Gabe Gazzola putting it to use, going down a 3rd.
Interesting strategy. I wouldn't think he'd be shifting tonight, honestly. I know the trucks are a little different than maybe the Cup car and the Xfinity car, but I didn't think that would be an option tonight. And an update on the top 2. Micah and Steven are slowly catching Justin Rott. Little by little, it's not a lot, but if we keep going green, maybe 10 more laps, we might have a 3-way battle for the lead.
Slowly but surely, that 7 truck closing back in on the front. He's dominated the last 2 events in the yellow flag waves, and it's Tyler Murray around on the backstretch.
That was right in the hornet's nest that we were tracking over the last couple of laps. His battle with Gabe Gazzola last we saw him, and there was probably throw a blanket over 5 or 6 cars right then. Like like Joaquin Storp might have had a little bit of contact with him on corner entry. That certainly wasn't it. Out of the corner. Oh,
Oh.
gets the wall and then down into Cazzola.
Yeah, looks like he may have tagged the wall off of 2. Not sure if the truck got tight or loose, but we'll get a second angle to confirm it. We'll go on board with Murray himself. Yeah, just got tight into the wall and left across Cazzola's nose. And
That's that turn 2 coming out and grabbing you on corner exit.
And there's pit stops. We have vehicles on pit lane. And I don't expect to see anything too crazy here, Jaden. Probably some 4 tires.
Yeah, they're all going to take 4 tires. It's way too early. Take 2, and that was a pretty good run there. So I would guess all 4 tires.
And the race off pit road, not that much of a contest. Rott beats out Walls. Maggio Jones drops or picks up to 4th. Wright falls down to 5th. And Alexander Schumacher will gain some positions. He moves up into the top 10. It looks like 2 tires on the 68.
Well, yeah, someone had to do it. We'll see how well that works out for him. But that's one set of tires gone. On lap 30 of 150, we pretty much have 2 fuel windows to the end here. You'll get a little bit short on it. So plenty of extra tires. That was a point of contention post-race last week as well. You know, with Micah Walls being the only person to use all of his tire sets. Everyone else left one in the pits, and Micah Walls left the field in the dust on a long green flag run to end it at Charlotte. That's definitely something that's on the minds of these drivers this week at Richmond, and especially at a track where tires are so valuable. They had 4 sets in the pits, plus what they started the race on. You can go 60-ish laps.
It's a great
tires.
It's a great thing you brought up there.
Split it maybe with, you know, with we see that in the real world a lot, right? You know, pretty much the calling card of every Richmond Cup race in the Gen 7 era has been: do you split the stage into 2 stops or 1 stop? You might try to see something like that because we get 110 laps. You could go 30-something, 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 or you could just split it about 50-50.
I mean,
these last 110 laps go green.
It's a good contention there, Nate, but I don't believe we're going to be seeing more than 1 pit stop if this did go green, and I think Jaden will probably agree with me on that. You just lose so much time on pit road here for 30 or 40 laps of a run. It doesn't quite match the real life tire wear, and the fear of a caution especially is a huge reason.
Yeah, I was going to say the fear of the caution would worry me more than anything.
And into the restart zone, Rock gets a great launch, clears for the top spot. Looks like Walls will clear down for 2nd, and Rott tries to, or Jones rather, around the outside.
That was a gutsy drop down by Walls, and his rear bumper took the penalty for it there from the 51. My goodness.
Alan Rivers Jones, though.
Micah's got a run.
Micah has a run for the race lead, possibly going to turn 1. He's going to peek to the bottom.
Can he stay side by side off turn 2?
Oh,
contact a little bit.
And here comes Stephen Maggio and Rivers Jones to the party. A little bit of a push by the 51.
Oh.
Fisticuff short track racing. Oh.
It's getting feisty here at the front. Here comes Rivers Jones on the outside, able to make it work. Trying to see if he gets to get a 2-for-1 here. And the 26 machine with a big run off of turn 2 as Walls looks to the inside once again.
A huge block from Rott.
Oh.
Missed the bottom.
And look, here goes Stephen Maggio to the inside. We'll be 3 wide off of 4.
Oh, 3 wide for 2nd. Rivers Jones with a bold move on.
He's in a great spot here. He's going to have a great run, and he gets tagged into the wall in front of Jamie Wright. And unfortunately for Rivers Jones, his truck will get damaged. Big hit there by the 33 late.
Jamie Wright got a huge piece of that as well. He was camped out behind that 3-way battle, hoping to pounce past those guys if they ended up taking each other out, and ended up having him wreck right in his lap. That's one of those guys that had real leapfrog potential in this race, the 89. But this battle, something had to give. 3 wide at any short track is not usually a great idea.
And that's
Jones
a great
had a really
move.
good run, but Walls is a little bit tight on exit, and it ends up being the 26 that pays the price. We'll see the back end. Randall Payne flies in, so too is the 33 of Wilson.
Yeah, a few trucks coming in there late.
Maggio got some right front damage from that when Rivers spun down. I don't know if he's going to pit. He might have pitted to fix it, but that's a good amount of damage on his right front. He pitted, yeah.
I was there on board with Payne there, and that truck's going to be in some pain, that's for sure.
No, nice play on words there. Here's the onboard from Steven Maggio. There's the contact with Walls and Jones. A little bit of damage to the 51, but nothing too major. But like Jaden said, he did bring it down the pit lane. You'd think aerodynamics aren't too big of a factor here on these short tracks, but they do play a big enough role when you get enough speed. And at a track like Richmond, it's one of those short tracks where you just kind of need it to be able to corner well.
Richmond, you wouldn't think aerodynamics would mean a lot at Richmond, but for whatever reason, like a little bit of damage can really just throw your race like for a loop here. I remember 4-wide, a completely different car, but Richmond, I was one of the fastest cars all race, but they were pass people. But I got a little bit of damage, and I could not do anything the rest of the race. So, for whatever reason, Richmond and damage is different. I don't know if it's because, like, people say that this track just does not race well. It, like, cars do not handle well at all here, but I don't know. Maybe Maggio said, you know, it's early in the race. We're about to get 1/3 through it. Might as well fix it now and hope for the best later, I guess.
And we're now taking the 1 to green, so wrapping up our third caution, I believe, of this evening. Hoping to get back to some of that green flag racing we saw earlier. And Rotten Walls has gotten even more intense over the last few restarts. Walls trying to take the track position away. He knows how important that lead is, not just for the clean air, but for these restarts. Control of these restarts is huge. And as we're approaching a third of the way through this race, every further restart we get closer to the end could be that much more important.
And Jamie Wright stayed out, so his damage must not be something that he deemed bad enough to repair. He got a pretty solid lick in the 26 truck, but chose to stay on the racetrack. And looking at his truck, it doesn't look too bad.
See how it hangs up here on this restart. Fidel Fabian into the top 3, as there's another great jump for your race leader. He clears away for the top spot. Michael Walls hanging tough. Fidel Fabian clears for 3rd into turn 1. Walls trying to see if he can roll some momentum on the outside, but not quite, and he'll tag the wall.
He got the wall just a little bit there, pushed tight off in turn 2 again. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, don't look now. He's up to 4th, working on the inside of right.
We'll see how the damage continues for Wright. Does appear to be struggling a little bit, but Jonathan Jurgensmeyer has played the patient game, and it has worked out for the 00 machine. The Kansas winner has found himself in the top 5 for the first time this evening, and there's Duncan Fall continue to chip away at it. He's trying to go for some top 5 position as well. So is Alexander Schumacher on those 2 tires.
Gabe Cazzola has been making some bold moves to begin this race. I've seen him go on 3-way a couple times, and he's been making up a lot of moves, or a lot of spots on these restarts. So I'd watch him if we keep getting the restarts.
And there we go off of 2. Right gets cleared of Jurgensmeyer, tries to protect the bottom, and now almost 3 wide with Duncan Fall in the middle. As this is where it got tasty over the long run, as the driver's lining up behind the 61, but it will probably be both of those trucks with the damage to the front end of the 89. Very minimal, but it is there, and like Jaden said, it's going to play a huge role as the run goes on, but the battle up front continues. There's Walls closing up on Rock.
He's hugging that yellow line a little better than Rod. He's got a pretty big run right here. Diving to the bottom of the racetrack, looking to turn 1 for the race lead. Michael Walls throws it in, pushes the 1 up the track just a little bit. Fair play, Fender leaning on each other, gets just a touch loose coming out of turn 2. Can't get the momentum down the backstretch. Gonna do it all over again in 3, 4. And Rott's not really pinching Walls a whole lot like I would have expected, but he's able to just clear him full power on the exit.
Trying to use the momentum of the high side to get clear of Walls without really worrying about contact all too much, and they keep this up. There's the 62 machine ready to bounce. How about Fidel Fabian's run tonight?
Fidel's doing an amazing job, honestly. Maybe Richmond's just his track. Richmond sometimes just brings some drivers you wouldn't expect to get a Michigan, or I almost said Michigan, wow. Richmond.
Shades
like,
of
you see
Kenneth
Austin
Bueno,
Dillon.
Iowa.
Yeah. Sometimes, like, you see Austin Dillon in the Cup Series just randomly is really good at Richmond. Maybe Fidel's Austin Dillon in this race right now. Maybe he's just going to be really good at Richmond and win this race today.
That could be a possibility here for Fabian here tonight. He's ran strong so far this evening, but he's also been strong to start this season overall, Nate. He's one of those that is really high up in the points. Probably was not one of those names that we probably tossed around when it comes to a championship fight, but he clearly has just been putting in the performances to try and earn his way up there, and rightfully so, because he's been doing another solid job here tonight.
Yeah, when we went to Dover, I mentioned how, surprised I was by how good of a start to the season he had. I'm not surprised anymore to see him up here. He qualified on the second row today at Richmond, and he's fighting up here. He had a pretty solid break with the 26th and 51 crashing in front of him, of course, but he has been fast all season. He's 6th in points. He has really found something coming into this 2026 iRacing season, because it's not just in the KBRN Truck Series, it's other leagues too. And I've talked to some of his fellow competitors, and they're saying the same thing. That Fidel Fabian has found something. So we got some side-by-side fighting with Stephen Maggio working his way back up in the field.
Oh, look at him get sideways there as he nearly gets into the back with Christopher Bishop.
He's slowly making his way up there. I kind of thought it'd be like a steady pace of him working his way up through. He's probably taking it one by one. Very smart. Hopefully he could not get loose like he did on entry there. Maybe he'll be able to get a little bit quicker. Oh, Mikey!
Neil back in front of traffic.
Oh, and collects multiple other vehicles in it as the track kind of sits partially blocked on the turn 4. Looks like contact with Robbie Troop is what sent them both around. What a save it was by the 96. Can't say the same for the 8.
Yeah, it was synchronized spinning in the turn of those two trucks. It looked like Neil came right back in front of traffic, in front of the 51 of Stephen Maggio. So we'll see dives inside, contact on entry. Really nice save by Troop. Neil had it saved and then didn't, and the 51 finds trouble yet again. Fran, I feel like Stephen Maggio has a big bumper sticker on his truck underneath that says "kick here." I feel like he's always in these kind of incidents on board here with the aid of Neil.
Man. Yeah, it looked like Mikey had it saved. I wonder if he overcorrected to try not think. Maybe he was thinking he's going to hit the barrels. Maybe just too much wheel. I don't know.
And there's the view from Stephen Maggio. Just not much you can do here when the 8 turns left, or turns right again. And damages the left front on that machine. And looks like we have some split strategies here on pit road up and down this field. A lot of the further back runners are in. Looks like the top, I want to say the top 11 or so, 11 are the ones that stayed out here. As here's the race off of pit road. It will be Robbie Troop who made that fantastic save, rolling off first with Alexander Schumacher. Will take those 4 tires now in 13th. So that 2-tire gamble for Shuey, who's running outside the top 20, really worked out. Now he'll have fresher tires and trucks in front of him with some track position. Jamie Wright will take this opportunity to fix his truck. So will Steve Maggio and some of these other trucks, including Brandon Showers. As we're still waiting to go back under green here, approaching the halfway point in this race. What has been your takeaway here, Jaden, so far?
A lot more green flag racing than I thought would be early on in the race. Usually Richmond has like a lot of cautions at the end, and middle point will go green, and caution will come back again. We've had a good amount of green flag racing. Haven't really noticed tire wear that much. It's a little bit, but not as much as Richmond usually is. But there's some like crazy runs going on right now with Fidel in 3rd right now, Duncan in the top 5 now. Joquan is actually in 7th right now, which is really good. I was about to shout out Mikey until that incident happened. He worked his way into the top 10, and then that unfortunate event happened, but a lot cleaner than I thought Richmond was going to be so far.
Justin Rott so far has had a great performance. He's led all but one lap in what has been so far his best run of his
Oh,
championship defense season. As a little bit further back is Charlie Byer, who's worked his way up into the top 10. How about it for Charlie? He's the only admin operating this race here tonight, as Kenneth is on vacation for the holiday weekend. He's with some family members out in San Diego, and he's hopefully going to be back with us later on this week when we do get to the 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series over at the Phoenix Raceway. But here we are back under green. A great launch for your leader once again. Walls could clear for second as Fabian tries to fight back, but the 7 will immediately go and defend that bottom. And here comes Jurgensmeyer on the outside.
Walls have been really aggressive getting down and covering off that inside lane off of these restarts, and he's done it successfully so far. Now Fabian's going to have to work the inside of Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. Gabe Cazzola right back up into the mix. One of those guys that stayed out. Robbie Troop, first of those 4 tire pits. And certainly, there he is. 3 wide bottom inside of Stewart and Haley.
Oh, in contact between Stewart and Haley, it'll force the 12 up the racetrack, but the 96 will take advantage of it as he continues to gain these spots. You see more 3 wide a little bit further back. Almost 4 wide, just Schumacher.
yeah. This restart's been actually pretty crazy, and there's been a lot of 3 wide and 4 wide going on. Notes on the wreck that happened: Steven Maggio is manually disconnected, so whatever damage he had there was race ending. Mikey is still in the race. He's 3 laps down. He's still in the pits, but he's still there. I want to give I keep giving a shout out. I want to shout out to Alex Urbina. This is his first start. He's new to iRacing. He was just inside the top 15, but now he's fallen back a little bit, but not bad for somebody's first start.
Especially
new to iRacing. So.
Especially at a track like Richmond, Jade. Not exactly the easiest of tracks to ease your way into a series, as there's 3 wide up there with Charlie Byer, Jamie Wright, Nicholas Bauman in that mess. Just ahead is Alexander Schumacher, who's struggled to make the same kind of pace as the number 96 machine, who's already worked his way up into 4th. And Nate, this 96, he's done a fantastic job in his few starts this season, has worked into some multiple podium position results, and as he gets to the inside of the 62, there's Michael Walls looking to the inside. They see that 96 approaching quickly.
Yeah, Walls wants to get away, but that 96, I think, is going to make quick work of the 2 leaders. You saw how much more bite he had in that truck coming out of turn 4 when he got the move put there on Fidel Fabian, and just how much more speed he has in the center of the corner as well. It's right to the outside of Michael Walls. Looks like he thought better of squeezing into that gap, but he is coming with a head of steam. He just needs these guys to not be too wide in front of him. It's kind of the main deal.
Oh, he's going to take a 3.
3 wide down the backstretch. There we go.
Down the inside.
Troop for the lead.
And he's going to slide up the racetrack a little bit, nearly makes contact with Michael Walls, but gives the space as Walls and Rott lean on each other, remain 3 wide.
Crazy racing here. I'm surprised they're still 3 wide. Justin's in a pretty bad spot, but Robbie on those tires, he's just going to make quick work of it.
Oh, and Walls slides loose off a 2. He's going to hang on to it. He'll still fight for second with Rott, but Robbie Troop for the first time this evening out front.
Amazing work by him to take advantage of his tires early. Now he needs to do a good job. I would not, in this position, I would not abuse him and run away. I would take care of him. There's not another car or truck close to the tires right now, I would think. So instead of running qualifying laps right now, he needs to just relax and run some clean laps and keep the truck straight on the exit of the corners.
The next vehicle that has tires much like his, as I believe Bishop went for a slide in the middle of 3 and 4, lost numerous positions, but the next vehicle for position that's on his strategy is this 68 machine, as he tries to get by Trevor Haley for the 8th spot now, is Schumacher, who struggled with the same kind of progress as Troop has made. But with this gap opening up here, Nate, this is a good indication of the tires working their magic. And at some point, the field will have to pit. The window to make it to the end will open up soon. If we continue under green, at some point, someone's going to think about making their way down pit road, completing halfway this lap.
Yeah, and then that's the conundrum with tires at Richmond, because Robbie Troop feels like Superman. He just carved through the field. He's putting more space between himself and second place than we've seen all race long. But the other shoe is going to drop, and it's 75 laps to go. We're just under 10 laps away from the very outside of that fuel tire window, and very possibly our first green flag pit stops of this cycle. That's when those drivers are now going to be Superman, and Robbie Troop is going to feel like he's been given a shot of kryptonite and getting passed by everybody else that took those fresh tires. And Troop also is, and all these guys that pitted on lap 62, they will have to come back down pit road. So this is a track position call, and Troop's the only one that's made good on it so far.
It's similar to that call last week towards the end of the race, but a little bit earlier in this instance. It's, do you go down and take the tire set? In this case, some of these trucks decided to roll the dice. They'll take the tire set. If we go long enough, even Schumacher could gain some more track position, and if the run goes really long enough, the whole field comes back down to pit road for 4 tires, and Troop and Schumacher ultimately will win out in that instance, gaining all that track that they did not have before.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting that he was the one that was able to make his way through the field quicker than everyone else. That just might show that he has really good pace overall, in my opinion. He's able to make quick work and everyone else kind of struggling. Nicholas Bauman's also, I think he might be on the strategy as well. He's making a lot of hay, or making up a lot of spots. He did have a pit road penalty on that first pit stop. I think he was speeding. He went back to last, so working his way up to 6th right now. That's a great recovery for Nicholas.
He is on that strategy, Jaden. He did pit on this last caution for the tires, and he's slowly following this 68 through the field as now Schumacher's to the outside of Fabian for the 4th position. And for these two, the 68 and the 88, they need these runs. They had good season 1s in this series, but season 2 just has not been too friendly for them. Bauman had that really solid run a few weeks ago over at the Dover Motor Speedway to catch a top 3 effort. And he's hoping to put another decent short track race together here, breaking into the top 5 for the first time this evening with a pass here, as there's Schumacher now to the back one for Vols.
And Bauman currently sits 5th in points, so a solid start to the season. But you need to be a lot better than 5th in points if you want to win a championship. And it starts with the goading guys that he's been chasing all season long in the Dirty South Edge for Rich Jones. This is the kind of race that he needs. That's a strategy call. And he needs Alexander Schumacher up into 3rd. He took the week off last week, back in the saddle, and another one of those guys feeling like Superman. Those new tires, you just carve through the field. There's few feelings in the world better than that.
Oh, damn. When you put 4 fresh tires and everybody else is on old tires, it's like turning iRacing into easy mode, it seems like. You just drive by everybody like it's nothing. And in this case, for the 88 and 68, it's working to a treat as now Schumacher closes the gap up on the Rot. And I'm looking at the lap times between Schumacher and Troop, and Schumacher's running about 2/10 quicker than your race leader. So if he's able to get past this one machine, you could see the gap out front slowly start to shrink as it's grown to about 1.6 relative to these two at this moment. See where it stands in a few laps time as Schumacher to the inside could expect to get around Rot here in turns 1 and 2.
It's a hard thing to do when you're in Robbie's position. I've been in this position before where you have fresh tires and you blow past people and you're like, okay, maybe I need to settle down or whatnot. But it's kind of hard to like know if you are killing your tires or not, because no matter what, you kind of have a pace advantage over everybody. So it's a hard thing to manage your tires. I think maybe Shuey and Nicholas Bauman may have done a better job. Lap times kind of looked a lot more even that time. Robbie just ran a bad lap. But yeah, I would like to see if he took care of his tires compared to Nick and Shuey. Because right now that's his competition. If we go green to the end of the race, that's going to be the battle between who's going to win this race. Is that top 3 right there, Nicholas Bauman and Shuey and Robbie.
And that last lap, the 68, 2/10 quicker once again than your race leader. So if he is able to keep the tires underneath him as we continue to go around this track, he could expect to close the gap up for this race lead. But he can't get too confident because that 88 is there and he's on the same strategy, and he could push the 68 into a mistake as well.
And something to note, 63 laps to go, well inside the fuel and tire window. So if we get a caution, it's one stop, and that's going to be through to the end of the race.
There's another
drivers, everyone still needs to make one stop regardless, green or not. If we get a yellow, it's going to be a busy day.
And this is another driver on that same strategy. Brandon Showers in the 24 was involved in one of the more recent incidents. You can see the back bumper pushed in on this 24 truck. He's driven his way up into 8th, a race high for him. He's hoping that this thing could go green to give himself a solid finish out of this one, as what has been a struggling evening so far. As he closes up to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer for that would be the 7th position, but I do expect to see pit stops soon. Most of those leaders have already gone 52 laps. Now, there's been some caution laps in there, so realistically, the furthest they could go somewhere between 70 and 75. I don't think they'll go all the way to the end, since we're just about to hit 60 laps remaining. You don't want to leave yourself too short. We might see some undercut strategies in hopes of gaining track position, but it's all to play for here in the closing laps.
That undercut strategy, honestly, the field looks pretty spread out right now, so that definitely is going to be into play, I think. Unless someone makes a pretty big mistake, I don't see us getting a caution for a good bit. But thing to note when we start getting those undercut pit stops is how early somebody wants to take that pit stop, and two, when they get back on the racetrack, they're going to be on some really cold tires. Oh, Nick almost just lost it as soon as I was talking about it, but you're going to be on some pretty cold tires, and Richmond is a hard place on cold tires. They just keep your truck straight. So that might be the warning for a caution, those cold tires, but right, the field's spread out. This running order has been really mixed up with the strategy and caution as soon as I was talking about it.
And it looks like right there the trouble is the 61.
Jesse Moody.
The 98 in trouble there on the inside. You see the front end damage on his machine as he'll try to limp his way back into the lane. But I think this works out either way for their top 3. They have track position now. As here's what happened off of turn 2. Looks like, ooh, Christopher Bishop with a big run gets to the outside and hard into the inside wall.
That'll certainly do the trick.
I think everyone's going to come down and take 4 tires. Robbie had a really interesting entry there. I don't think that's going to give him a penalty, but he hit the orange box. I don't know how Iverson rules that, but.
And into the lane they come
busy
here.
day on pit road.
And you are guaranteed to get to the end of the race with these stops. It could potentially be the final pit stops. I don't think they will be. But for somebody, it just might. And we'll see what the move is here. For most of the field, it's going to be easy 4 tires. I think for everybody in the field, for that matter, it's going to be easy 4 tires. That was our longest run of the night. And as we work our way off of pit road, it's going to be Robbie Troop out in front. How about Justin Roth? Might have taken away second. And it looks like no, he'll remain in third though, as Bauman drops a few spots back to 5th.
Justin overtook Shu, I think. No.
Oh, penalty for Bauman again.
Oh.
Possibly speeding in the lane on exit, trying to gain as many spots, and it's once again going to cost him that track position, much like it did earlier. Second pit road penalty of the night.
I was just gonna say him, Shuey, and Robbie. They hit it really good with that strategy. And yeah, that's tough for Nick. If I'm right, that's his second one of the night, and that's tough. I know he's been looking for a good run, and he's still got a lot of time to make up a lot of track position, but I think any chance of a win's out of the window now.
Well, it's gonna be a lot tougher to get that track position too on equal tires to the rest of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's going to be down just outside the 19th position. Is the number 88 machine, so we'll see what his progress is going to look like here as we'll take the 1 to green. Or the lights remain on the pace car, so we'll still have another lap here. And let's see if we're able to talk with the driver out front. Doesn't look like he's in a VC. Not as many drivers out in the VC, but we'll scoot back and we'll talk to the second place driver of Alexander Schumacher, who was with us. We were talking to him before the race here tonight, and now he joins us up here in the booth. Shuey, you got a copy?
10-4, I got a copy.
Well, Shuey, it was an interesting strategy choice to take those 4 tires, you drove your way up into second, running down the leader. Now you're going to have just over 50 laps to go to try to make use of everybody being on equal tires. What do you think is going to be the move here?
It depends on what happens behind us. If we get a yellow at the wrong time, or if we get green flag racing. I think consistency and pace, those are the 2 biggest things at a short track you need to have. So if you can have consistent lap times, nail all your entries and exits, your braking, you're on the gas, off the gas, you'll be really good here. Tracks from the live tire seems to be pretty minimal, so lots of guys are just pushing really hard here, and it's been a really, really fast race so far.
I wish you the best of luck in the final 52 laps of this race from the front row.
Thank you.
That's Alexander Schumacher, driver the number 68, has worked his way up into the front row. Winner from Rockingham last season, trying to see if he can capture a second career win. Restarting outside of the front row.
This restart's gonna be weird because Robbie's like really far off the pace car here.
Oh! And he spins the tires on the cold tires. It'll bring the yellow flag out once again. And you talked about it, Jaden. You were right on the money with the cold tires, and it just struck the driver of the 98 and unfortunately, or the 96, and it takes out Schumacher with him.
That restart, that was really weird leading up to the restart because down the backstretch they were like 5 car lengths off the, like 5/10 off the pace car. I'm like, what's going on? And I think him speeding up towards the end to like get a good run or catch up to the pace car a little bit may have caused that tire spin that bad and made him spin to Alexander Schumacher there, which was just, that's tough because we just literally talked to Shuey and this happens. But yeah, I don't know, that was just really weird down the whole backstretch. I don't know what was going on there.
And in that whole deal, Justin Rott moves to second. Michael Walls to the race lead. Here's the view from Rott. And yeah, just looks like there's nothing Shuey could have done in that instance there.
That's all 3 of those guys that pull off that strategy to pit on lap 62, carve through the field, be 1, 2, 3 in the race. Bauman speeds on pit road, Troop spins the tires and takes out Schumacher. This is the in car. And once that contact starts, it doesn't stop. Once the 96 gets up the track and gets caught on the left front of the 68, that there's not much either driver can do to stop that from going where it's already gone.
And there's Shuey making his way to the pit lane. He's going to repair that right front. It's very similar to the damage Maggio had early. And that's as terrible as of a jinx as it comes here. We were just talking to him and restarting on the front row, and unfortunately now he's going to lose all the track position he fought so hard for in repairing his truck. But how about Michael Walls, guys? He's not been the outright fastest at any point tonight, but he's been there. He's been in position. And now with this restart possibly coming with about 47 laps remaining, he's going to be out front with the track position, with the clean air over the fastest car tonight, with the chance to go 3 in a row. And Nate, I think I see this right. The top 3 are the same cast of characters as we always seem to find ourselves in, of Walls, Rott, and Jurgensmeyer.
That's that Godink trio, the big 3, if you will. And they're up front all season last season. They've been up front most of this season to start things out. And wouldn't you know it, somehow, some way, finding his way to lead the pack is the 7 of Michael Walls, who has had a dominant 2026 and is going to look to continue that, because now he's in control of the race. So you've seen, outside of the most recent restart, the driver in control of these restarts blasts off. Not sure if that's a Justin Rott thing or a leader thing, but usually it's a leader thing, and not particular to just one driver. We're going to have another look. We re-rack him and go again. 48 laps to go for the lights at Richmond.
We'll see if Walls is able to get a gap as soon as he enters the zone. The leader always has the best advantage, and this time it remains true. Great restart from Walls to take the top spot away. Jurgensmeyer, though, side by side for second.
We'll see if Jurg can stay with them off turn 2 of corner exit. Justin had a really good middle and center there, and he's able to clear Jurg. So it's going to be kind of reverse roles here. Justin seems to be better than Micah the first 10 to 15 laps of a run. But as the run goes on, Micah seems to be better, so it's going to be really interesting to see what Justin does here. Now he's behind Micah, not in front of Micah this time.
You see one of the strategies there is just trying to back up the center, diamond the exit off a little bit to try and close up the gap. The battle for third continues to rages on. Fidel Fabian on the outside, able to put the work to Jurgens is loose. Is the 61 of Duncan Fall. What a save.
Slideways, which is so typical of this racetrack, and now falling right back down to the clutches of the field. But yeah, that's Fidel Fabian up against his truck owner, the Trick Motorsports entry in the 62 alongside Jurg himself. And why not go 3 wide? Trevor Haley ran into the showers, and Jamie Wright gets a little bit north on the racetrack, gets into the 24. But Wright, a nice recovery drive to get back up into the fight.
Yeah, he was part of that damage earlier on with Steven Maggio. Fell outside the top 10. He sits inside the top 10 now, and he's hoping to get back to where he was earlier in the night, as Joaquin Stewart's also done a great job to get into this top 5 fight. He's trying to work on 4th.
Joaquin's been quietly inside the top 10 all night. He's had a very clean run. He's been good on the long runs, and he's been keeping himself in the fight. Top 5 right now. You never know, a little luck, you can win this race by just sitting in the top 5. We just saw it happen on the restart, the two restarts ago, so a little bit of luck, you never know what you can find yourself into at Richmond.
And 42 laps now remain, and Justin Ruck continuing to mount the pressure to Michael Walls. These two battled each other for the championship last season. It was Roth that came out on top with 3 wins to his name. Walls had 2. He's already matched that total so far this season, and he took the all-time wins name away from Roth with now 4 career wins to Roth's 3. Roth trying to see if he can tie Walls back. Walls trying to extend it to 5.
Walls trying to make it 3 in a row, which is something that we wouldn't even have dreamed of last season, Brandon. Remember, we had, 13 different winners across 15 races last year? And so to see the same cast of characters fighting for and collecting wins early here in Season 2 has been somewhat of a shock. If this was Season 1, I would fully expect Fidel Fabian to win this race, but it's Season 2, I think it's going to be a battle between these top 2. And another note on Joaquin Stewart, he's one of those drivers that's in the same boat as Jamie Wright and Gabe Cazorla. Lots to gain, getting right back into the chase picture with a good finish tonight.
And so is the driver in 6, Trevor Haley, who's been quiet this entire evening, but he sits inside the top 10 now. If he can finish somewhere around here, it'll really help that 12 car's hopes, as a little bit of contact between Jurgensmeyer and Stewart off of turn number 2.
A little bit of contact. Trevor Haley's, he's just like Joaquin. He's been quietly just a little outside the top 10 all night, but has made his way into the top 5. Trevor's really good in these trucks, so if he gets some practice, and he can definitely challenge for a win here. He's definitely hungry for a win, too. Jamie Wright's making a little bit of headway back to the front, too, as well.
Haley, the winner of Daytona to start this series off last season in season number 1, has not gone back to victory lane. Says looking to capture a 2nd career win. He'd very much like to do so, probably at a non-super speedway racetrack. He's definitely had some good opportunities, showed some good speed at Kansas. And after Stewart gets shut out by Jurgensmeyer, Haley's ready to try and take the scraps to get into this top 5.
Putting together a really solid race. Haley sits 90 points. And another note on the points with Steven Maggio not finishing this race. That's another spot that's likely up for grabs, further up this chase grid. Nicholas Baumann also right on the back end of this tip. You see it right there at the back of your screen behind the 24 truck. He's worked his way back into this race, recovering from the speeding penalty. Honestly, might have saved his skin because he wasn't up toward the front when that wreck happened.
Yeah, it was probably a good thing, but he probably would have been sitting in a position where it could have been leading this race at the same time. So you take it with what you can. So work his way up into 9th in this process. You think one more yellow flag, this 88 could be a factor for a top position when it's all said and done. Fidel Fabian has driven away from Jurgensmeyer, but they've also driven away from him, as it's Roth and Walls just separated by a few truck lengths continuously here, approaching 33 laps.
It's going to be very interesting to note. We're closing in on 30 laps to go. It's going to be interesting to see if we do get a yellow, what pit strategy is going to be. we want to give up track position? Are there going to be guys in the back who are going to be like, you know what, we're not having good runs? Are we going to stay out? You know, because everyone's good on the field now. So now it's just a tire race right now. And I would be interested to see what's going to happen. I think if we run long enough, maybe everyone's going to take 4 if we get a caution. There might be some 2-tire calls. But it's going to be very interesting to see if we do get a yellow, what tire strategy is going to be when everyone comes out the road.
It will be interesting
to
to
that
see.
point, everyone's got at least one set.
Yeah, everyone does have at least one set. Some drivers may even have 2, but certainly nobody, at least I don't think, is without a tire set remaining in this race as Raw continues to try and find a way to make a run. Has a decent exit off of turn 2, slides it a little bit, but he is there. He is just hoping the 7 makes a mistake.
Hounding him just all over the back of that 7 truck. When you're this much faster than the truck in front of you, and it's the lead and the race win, it's sitting in your windshield, and you know you're faster than him, but it's also a teammate and it's also a friend. It's 30 laps to go. You don't exactly want to muscle the guy out of the way at this point of the race. But at the same time, if you know that you're better on a shorter run and he's faster than you on a longer run, you have got to get to him and get around him and put some space between you guys on the racetrack. Otherwise, it's all going to be for naught.
And you see a little bit of a slide out of both of them, and it's going to be Rott peeking down the inside. And that's all it could take for Walls to slip up. You see him drift up half a lane.
Oh.
And Rott's there. A wobble.
You gotta run.
To the inside.
Could be very key if he can stay next to him off turn 2. If he can stay next to him off turn 2, I think he might have a really good chance off turn 4. He's still there. Slightly not the greatest exit, but he's going to need to get right next to him off 4. No, he's going to let him back in. I noticed something when he backs up his entry and he runs the top lane and cuts back down to the bottom. He makes a really good charge at Micah when he does that. I don't know how much tire he's using up doing that. I know we haven't had long enough runs to note tires, but if this is going to be like a 45-ish lap run, maybe a little longer, tires are definitely going to mean something. So I'd also watch Fidel in third in case tires start meaning something if these two keep battling.
We'll see just how it continues to play out. Great defense by Walls. He'll hang on to the top spot still with 26 laps to go. And I gotta say, I feel bad for Justin Rott. For those that don't know, yesterday we were in the same NIS split, and unfortunately his race came to the end at my doing, but indirectly due to something outside the sim. I dare not repeat what it was, but if you know, you know. And Justin got caught up in that. He had a chance to run the right strategy to win that NIS race ultimately around the halfway point. I'm pretty sure it'll be of good comforts of him if he's able to make this up and take a win here tonight. And he's got another run here.
Winning makes everything better, especially when you're coming off the back of a loss, and all that momentum he had on the front straightaway kind of backed up the corner a little bit. This is the big run down the backstretch. He's going to get a chance on the inside of Michael Walls. Walls got the wall, and curiously, Rott did not go to the inside. He had such a huge run ahead of steam coming out of turn 2, and just fell back in line behind from the 7 truck.
Interesting choice for him not to take that run there, but he definitely feels confident that he's able to mount these charges, and he has been on more than one occasion. He's shown the nose. I think he wants the outside rather than the inside, which would make sense. We've seen the outside definitely be better to make some passes. I just don't see
that run.
He's got another one here. I just don't see this 7 giving up that top.
Justin seems to have a lot more rear tire than Micah. If you look at the exit corners, Justin keeps... His truck seems a lot more straighter, and it seems like he has more pace on exit corners. That might be why he's being a lot more patient. He notices that he has a lot more pace on exit corners. He's just waiting for Micah to make a mistake, but in my opinion, you gotta pounce on it now, because you never know if you're gonna get a caution, and I would much rather be the leader coming down pit road than second place.
Especially,
so, in my opinion, if you got the better tires and the better truck right now, you need to make it now, because you never know if tires are also going to even out.
you have to make sure you take advantage of it. If you're Justin Rott and if you're Michael Walls, keep doing what you're doing. It's worked so far, and we're now 20 laps away from figuring out who wins this race. And these two
Ooh.
have driven away from the competition, 1.6 seconds back to Fidel Fabian, an additional almost 3 seconds back to Jurgensmeyer in 4th. So if this continues to go green, you're looking at the Season 1 championship fight being the determination of who wins at Richmond. At stake, Michael Walls became the first driver to go 2 in a row. He looks to become the first to go 3 in a row as Rott nearly tags the wall, and Rott looking to win his first race after clinching the championship at Homestead Miami Speedway, looking to try and go back to the top in this series. But he's going to have to go through the hottest driver in season number 2 to do so.
These just have absolutely gapped the field. This race, in and of itself, is, dare I say, shades of 2021 Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton dogfighting well clear of the rest of the field. And we see these two fight so often, but it's rare in these iRacing races to see it happen so far ahead of everybody else. This has been a showing of true dominance from the two best drivers in this series.
And there you see for Michael Walls, he's about to lead his 36th lap at the start-finish line. Has not been the outright fastest truck, has not been the most dominant, but he's been as far back as you see Rott is to him, as he's been to Rott in the first half of this race. Got through there, through the carnage of the restart, just with the nose out in front of Rott, and that's made the difference so far. Rott has just as equally been good. He's led almost exactly half this race, so he's definitely clinched the most laps led when you consider the laps troop led. But Rott doesn't care about that. He wants this win with 15 to go.
I think they're only looking around the track right now. Their only threat of the caution, I think, is this dog fight for 12th between like 5 cars: Randy Showers, Duncan Fall, Alex Rubina, Shuey, and Christopher Bishop. They have been fighting like dogs back here. It's honestly really exciting to watch. But I think that's their only real threat of caution. I don't think they're gonna catch any lap traffic. They might catch Robbie, who's a little off the track or off the path, but I don't think any lap traffic's really gonna be a thought for this battle for the win. So I think it's just gonna be between just raw pace and who has the best tires left between these two.
And I've noticed over the last few laps that one truck has just been struggling to get the rotation in, has dropped some lap time. That last lap was nearly a tenth and a half slower, tags the wall off of 2. I think the right front may have gone away after doing that diamonding strategy that had worked out for him to get runs off the corner to make the gap up to the 7, but just without being able to clear and take the lead away, it's all for nothing. And now he's starting to drift back that lap nearly 2 tenths slower than your race leader.
Definitely starting to fade a little bit, and that's why I had mentioned that he needed to be a little more aggressive. We all kind of agreed up here that Rott needed to be more aggressive with getting by Michael Walls, because Walls was so much faster on the longer run. And you see it here, Walls is checked out of this race, and barring mistake or caution, it's in his hands, and it's his race to lose.
His to lose, approaching 10 laps to go. Continuing to grow the lead, looking elsewhere in the pack. Fidel Fabian slowly getting reeled in by Jurgensmeyer. That gap is down to 3/4 of a second. Jamie Wright has been closing the gap up on Joaquin Stewart. That'll be a great fight for a top 5 spot between these two, who have had a great race here tonight.
Landing through the grass.
Slider through the grass. Randy Showers, he saves it. As he comes back onto the racetrack, he puts a lot of dirt out there, but he hangs on to it.
Impressive to hang on to that.
And here's a trio of teammates: Brandon Showers, Trevor Haley, Nicholas Bauman, all around each other here. This is for the 7th position on the track, as Haley tries to cross over his own teammate. And you gotta feel for Bauman. That pit road penalty definitely cost him an opportunity. He definitely has shown some speed in these long runs, as at 24 nearly gets in the back of Haley, but he hangs on to it. And Charlie,
the 24 through the grass as well.
And here's the 24 of Brandon Showers, who hangs on to 9th. Yeah, they're trying to get a caution out for these leaders. As here's the battle for 5th.
Yeah, Wright and Stewart finally we get maybe a little bit of calm. Wright pulls back in behind the 79. A really good recovery drive from Jamie Wright in this one as he keeps pressing on the inside of that 79 truck, corner after corner. He ran up front for a lot of the early part of this race, involved in a crash. Didn't pit for that crash, started to drop like a rock, pit to repair the damage under the next caution, and has worked his way back up to the field slowly but surely. Really, really impressive drive from Jamie Wright tonight.
And the same could be said about the driver he's racing against, Joaquin Stewart. Both of these guys would really love this top 5 finish. They desperately need it in their seasons, and they've put up some great racing here tonight, and they're continuing to put on a good battle here in the remaining 4.5 laps of this race. As there's not really any other close battle, not that much in the field. As there's a crossover attempt. Now Stewart to the inside. Oh, and a little contact. What a battle.
Mike has got to be thinking, well, why are you guys trying to wreck? Do you guys hate me or something? It's been probably, it feels like there's been 5 close calls in the last 5 laps. Meanwhile, Walls is kind of out for a Sunday drive. Rush hour commute home from work. He's got 3 laps. That's about a minute away from winning this race.
Has to make sure he doesn't make too big of a mistake because Raw is still half a second back, but not really closing the gap between himself and the race leader. And once again, we're here talking about this 7 machine of Michael Walls. What a job he's done. When he didn't win that championship last season, he was devastated. He was heartbroken. He wanted to make up for it. He wanted it to do better. And so far in season number 2, he has done just that. He has been better. He has performed exceptionally well. And he's about to take the white flag to try and capture a 3rd consecutive win. He'll take one more lap from the Richmond Raceway. Justin Rott only half a second back, but just not really quite able to close it up. And for Michael Walls, who won 2 races last season, has already done that here. And as he approaches 3 and 4 for the final time, get out the brooms and call it a hat trick. It's going to be Michael Walls taking 3 consecutive wins. He'll take the checkered flag from Richmond.
Dominant. Period.
There's been no one better in the KBueno Racing Truck Series in such a short span than Michael Walls has been over these stretch of races. 3 consecutive victories, unbelievable.
What a job by Micah to take care of his tires there, to keep the lead without losing it. Him and Justin were easily the class of the field tonight, and Micah, he's on an insane stretch right now. It's not just this series. He's been doing a lot of good things in other series, so 2026 just might be Michael Walls' year, to be honest.
It's that new wheel.
Yeah.
The new setup definitely working in his favor. Has captured many wins so far in 2026. And he does another one here in Paul's Setup Shop Victory Lane for the 3rd consecutive week here on the KBueno Racing Network and the KBueno Racing Network Truck Series. And he does it this time from Richmond. Unbelievable. As he celebrates here on the front straightaway, we'll get our unofficial results here from the Richmond Raceway. And it is going to be, once again, Michael Walls successful. We've heard that very frequently over the past few weeks. He ends up on the top of the leaderboard here with Justin Rott. Championship from season number 1 will be the run-up here tonight. Vidal Fabian, career day here for the 62. Got to give an attaboy to him. He's ran top 3, top 5 all night long, and he finishes in a podium spot for the first time in his career. What a job by the 62. Jonathan Jorgensmeyer gets a solid top 5 effort. Jamie Wright wins out in that battle with Joaquin Stewart. Good recovery effort by the 89 after the early damage. Joaquin with a great job to get it to 6. Bauman definitely wishing he didn't have that pit road penalty. Could have had something for their leaders possibly. He takes away 7th with Trevor Haley in the 8th position. Brandon Showers will be in 9th, and Charlie Byer grabs the top 10 when it's all said and done, Nate.
Yeah, outside the top 10, Gabe Cazzola needed a solid day, had a solid day. Comes home P11, pretty much where he ran most of the night. Duncan Faw finishes P12. Alex Urbana In his debut, finishes 13th, then Alexander Schumacher in 14th after being involved in that crash with Robbie Troop. Christopher Bishop, 15th, Randy Showers in 16th. Timothy Cook fights back to a P17 finish. Timothy Tyler fights back to a P18 finish. Jason Hastings, P19, and Jesse Moody in P20.
You have Robbie Thrope or Thrope. Yeah, I messed up his name probably. Tough break, 21st, 9 laps down. Tyler Murray has incident down the backstretch, 22nd. Mikey Neal 23rd had his incident with Steven Maggio. He also finished 24th, 89 laps down. Randall Payne 25th. Rivers Jones with that unfortunate 3 wide incident finishes 26th. Jared Wilson 27th and Andrew C. Davis 28th.
And Michael Walls has found himself up into victory lane for the third consecutive week. And Micah, what a job it's been from you and this entire race team to just put in this effort in 2026. What has it been for you that's gotten things gelling and working in the right direction to bring you third consecutive wins?
Yeah, I mean, it's just going out there and putting in more effort, just doing anything. I don't know. I feel bad for Justin losing that race the way that he did and everything, but I'm happy for our race team finally getting another win.
And you talk about Justin there, you had a great battle with him in the first half, you trailing in that instance, and then it kind of flipped around there after the trouble to Troop and Schumacher. Talk us through what it was like when you were sitting behind him in the earlier portion of the race, and then what was going through your mind battling him there for the win late.
Yeah, I mean, battling behind him, it was really hard to pass. And anytime I would get under him, I could get tight or I get loose, and no in between. And I kind of gave him a dose of that medicine there at the end. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Robbie and Shuey as well. So
And Micah, as we continue this stretch of races this season, we move on, I believe, to the Nashville Super Speedway next time out. You're going to have a chance to go for 4 straight wins. You think it's going to happen? You think it's on the likelihood? I think the odds are probably there for you.
I think the odds are pretty good for me. Nashville is one of my better tracks. I mean, Justin will be right there with me, so it'll probably just be another 1-2 for us.
And before we let you go to end this night here on President's Day, Micah, anybody want to give a shout out to the Hell Mix has happened for you and the whole 7 truck team?
Shout out the Goat guys. Shout out Bill Lester and shout out Cockroaches.
We appreciate that. And I didn't want to say it on the broadcast, but there you go. Micah, congratulations on the win here tonight. Congratulations on 3 in a row. Hope to see you out next week.
Thank you.
Yeah, he said the thing. Yeah, that's kind of what caused the NIS crash last night. I didn't want to say it, but he did. But well, it's okay though. I'm not too scared to admit it. It was about half the size of my palm, so I think anybody sees that just crawling out from behind your sim rig, it will startle you. So I won't fear too much and all of that. But we will now move down to the second place position where it's Justin Rott caught up with our own Nate Polite.
Justin, congrats on a P2 finish. You had a really hard fought battle there with Michael Walls, and I feel like a broken record saying that because I feel like we've said that for about half the races that have ever been run in this series. But what more did you need on that last run behind the 7 truck?
Needed a little more right front tire. He was really loose, I guess. He did a good job managing it because I didn't even really notice till he said something towards the end, and I was pretty tight. That's why I was trying to run a couple lanes up and turn off the corner, so I had straighter exits and just didn't scrub speed off. Yeah, I just needed some right front tire. Needed to restart ahead of him. It just sucks that he had like an inch ahead of me on that one restart wreck, and that was pretty much the difference. I wanted to pass him clean, so if it got down to it, I was willing to get into him a little bit, but 30 to go. It felt like a little too long to start racing really too hard because Fabian was doing a great job behind us, just staying. He wasn't too close, but if stuff got really stupid, I mean, he could have been. So, um, I think I still had the same speed as him. I just kind of backed off for a couple laps, tried to cool my tires down, saved just a little bit, and just never really got back up there. So yeah, if I didn't back off for a couple laps, maybe I still would have had a shot at it, but it's just so ridiculously hard to pass here. Every time I got to the inside, I just got sideways, killed the tires even more, and then I couldn't get to his outside no matter how hard I tried. So yeah, just needed a little bit track position there, I think, to get the move done.
And you kind of alluded to it there, and Micah just told us when it was on the flip side at the start of the race, he had a hard time trying to pass you. So, would you say that was the biggest difference between that first run where you led 70 or so laps, and then the second run where you were behind the seven?
Um, yeah, it's just so hard to pass, man. Like if I had the lead, I definitely would have just kind of held on to it. He did a good job at attacking me on that second run there. Um, I kind of ran up in front of him the whole first run, and then he attacked me pretty good the second, third run when I was still in the lead, and then he had contact with Steven and Rivers, which sucked for them, and wish we got to race out with them because I think we would have had a great 4 or 5 car battle for the lead there if that didn't happen. And I think if Robbie and them didn't wreck on the restart, I think Robbie would have held his own there, and we went green to the end, so he could have even won the race just because he was leading. So sucks for all of that, and then yeah, just it was just so hard to pass. Like he couldn't pass on the bottom. You just get so loose out of the corners on the bottom, and then it's just impossible to get to someone's outside if you're up in the front and not like stacked up towards the back on a restart. So yeah, that's what the difference was.
And then looking forward, Justin, we've got Nashville next week. You're currently sitting third in points, 69 behind Micah. Oh, what's your attack on these last 7 races of the regular season, and how do you set yourself up for the chase?
Really, I've just been trying to go for wins. Like, I mean, as much as points racing's great, and I'll get some playoff points for the regular season or whatever. Um, like I'm not gonna outpoint him in these 7 races unless he misses one. So just try to go out and get a win. I think Nashville's one of my better tracks. Eldora is one of my better tracks. So hopefully go get a win there. But he's just as good as me at literally any racetrack. So it's just about racing him, and Steven's just as good as any of us anywhere, and Jurg, he'll run with us. So I really just want to keep him out of victory lane. As I love him; he's my teammate, but I gotta find a way to keep the 7 out of victory lane before he gets too big of a lead before the chase, and then I don't want to play catch up the whole time in the chase, kind of like last season after I got a good start, and he was kind of just playing catch up, and yeah, I don't want that to happen to me this year.
And then before we let you go, Justin, is there anyone that you wanted to shout out or thank for this race today?
Yeah, shout out Micah for the win, of course. Jurg, shout out Fidel for career best P3. Great job for him. He's improved a lot lately, so I'm happy to see him running well, and he's pretty high in the points too. Um, Shout out Jared A. Wilson on the rear bumper every week. Everyone in the call, everyone on Ghost, Steven, Rivers, everyone. Yeah, I probably think I missed someone, Jurg, yeah, whoever. And everyone who puts this league on. Kenneth, Fran, and all of you up here in the booth, Fran, Jaden, and Nate. Thank you guys for putting on a broadcast for us every week.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin, and congratulations again on a P2 finish here at Richmond Raceway.
Thank you, Nate.
And Jaden Porter is now going to be caught up with our third place finisher of the evening, Fidel Fabian.
Fidel, it was a great run for you tonight. Top 5 all night. Was there anything maybe you could have done there at the end to catch the top 2? You were kind of running the same pace with them at the end. Is there anything you think you could have done, or just third place for you?
Uh, Probably just should have taken tires on that on one of those previous cautions. We had a really good top five, top 10 truck all day. Got to thank all my buddies and Goat and Jerk Motorsports. They've been real nice to me.
Yeah, you were. I would say one of the cleanest runs tonight, and you were honestly, besides those guys who took tires, probably the only one that could contend with Justin or Michael all night. Uh, so it was a really good drive for you. Good points day today. So, what's kind of your outlook on what's the rest of this regular season is going to be for you?
Yeah, just keep up with this momentum, you know. Jared gave me some advice before the season started, and just been using that since Daytona. And since then, it's been doing pretty good. I feel like we had some runs where we didn't finish well, but we showed we had some good speed. And after today, I think we can keep working on that.
Well, it was a great top three run for the 62 machine tonight. Is there anyone you'd like to thank on this great run tonight?
I would like to shout out Justin, Micah, Jerd, Jamie, Andrew Davis, Duncan Fall. I gotta shout out my parents, my niece, my nephew, my sister, my all three, two brothers I have. Uh, Running out of people to shout out. I gotta shout out Gabe, Nick, Jake Gumar, everyone over in T1A, and I got shout out to my dad's company, Casita Caliente. Call 917-217-2958. We serve New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. And that's about it.
All right, thank you, Fidel. Great job tonight.
Thank you.
Fidel Fabian, our third place finisher here from tonight after career day in this series. What a job by him to be able to stay up there all night long throughout all the chaos and even with the outright speed that Rott and Walls had to contend for the win all night. But guys, just like that, this race is now behind us. We're looking at the next couple of races and it does not get any easier. You look at the schedule there. We've completed Richmond. We now go into Nashville next week, a concrete mile and a third racetrack, and even from there it continues to get even more hectic. You have the dirt track at Eldora, the short track at Bristol, the road course at Mexico, the uneven mile and a half at Kentucky, the super speedway-esque race of Michigan, and then Darlington to end the regular season. So it really just does not get easy for these drivers in hopes of trying to make this playoff push, with next week being the halfway point in the regular season.
Well, it's never gonna be easy now, is it? And I every time I look at the schedule, I'm like, man, when can these drivers catch a break? And the answer is never. I mean, I think you probably look at Michigan as the least testy race upcoming, and even that you mentioned it, right? It's super speedway esque. You know, it's not quite Talladega and Daytona, but it certainly races like it in a way, especially in these trucks. There is no easy task ahead of these drivers, and it's gonna make this run to that final 12 chase all that more entertaining.
Yeah, the next five races are all five different racetracks. You got Nashville, which is a concrete tire shredding racetrack. Eldora, which is a dirt track, which is going to be an amazing race to watch. Bristol's a short track, which is Bristol's just crazy in general. Bristol's its own animal. Mexico City, not a lot of people have a lot of laps there. It's a newer road course to iRacing, so that should be interesting. And Kentucky is the weirdest mile and a half to run, in my opinion. So there's a lot of technical and just different things to the next five of these races. So these next five races are going to be very important for those trying to make the chase.
And we got some Jaden Porter racetracks in there, if you will, like Nashville, Bristol, and I'll toss in your home track as well of Kentucky and Darlington. Are we going to be seeing you at those types of racetracks soon?
You might see me at Nashville. I don't know. You're going to see me at Eldora. I I'm really bad at dirt, but I can't miss an opportunity to run a dirt race. You might see me at Bristol, Mexico. I've never ran Mexico. I might run that race. Kentucky's my home track. You never know. It the Jaden Porter truck schedule is very inconsistent, and we'll see where I'm at. Maybe I'll be back in the booth for some of these. You never know. But yeah, these next 5 races are gonna be. If I'm not racing or in the booth, they're gonna be very interesting to watch, and I'll definitely be tuned in.
Yeah, it's been great having you here in the booth, Jaden. Not normally making appearances. We've seen you make a few All-Star appearances over in four wide, but this is your proper points paying event here up in the booth with us. What was it like being here with Nate and I, who are in the mainstay?
I love being in the booth if I'm not racing. It's something I kind of like want to try to get into a little bit. Obviously, not being a main commentator, it's not something I think I'd be good at. But being like a driver analyst kind of role, I kind of like it a lot. I love doing the All Star races with Kenneth and you, and doing the driver broadcast for the All Star Opens on four wide. But yeah, I enjoy being in the booth. That definitely adds a lot different perspective to these races than being in the race car, in my opinion. Honestly, helps me in the race car too, because you get to see a lot more and notice a lot more on a broadcast doing it. So I enjoy it. I hope I get to come back for more of these races and enjoy being in the booth.
Well, the door's going to be open for you whenever you feel like you want to be a part of this team. It was great having you here tonight with us, Jaden and Nate. I'm going to toss to you one last time before we sign out for the evening. Michael Walls is on a tear. Nashville, what is going to be the field's goal to stop that 7 machine?
Uh, that's a really great question. It might it might just have to be Wreckham, and that seems like the only way you can beat him right now. He's so good, and he's even got the brakes falling his way for him. We say in racing all the time, would you rather be good or lucky? Michael Walls has been good and lucky these last few weeks, and some might say that's the only way to put together 3 in a row is you can have both of those working for you, and yeah, he certainly does right now.
He's just been clicking them off and putting them down for that 7 truck machine, and he was going to try to go for 4 consecutive wins over next week at the Nashville Super Speedway. This won't be the only action you'll see on the KBueno Racing Network this week. You have a lot of stuff to catch up with us on. Starting Wednesday night for the 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series, you'll be live from the Phoenix Raceway. Kenneth will be on the call with that alongside Keelan Belsha and Charlie Byer and the whole team to make that happen. You'll see Jaden Porter on the racetrack there that night. We'll move over to Thursday night where we'll be back with SAC Cup Series action. Nate from the Sonoma Raceway, one of your California homes there. We'll be seeing some road course action for round number 3 of the season. We'll be excited to bring to you that one. We'll see who's able to come out on top on the road course. It's never exactly a gimme, so we'll see when we get there. Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Sunday is the season opener of Dropping the Hammer Cup Series. We're back. 125 laps are in store for us from the World Center of Racing. We'll see which driver is able to take away the first Noble 5 event of the season and the Dropping the Hammer Daytona 300, something like that, 310, I think, something like that in miles. And we'll be back here next Monday night from the Nashville Super Speedway in the Music City. Thank you to everybody that helps make this happen. Thank you to Kenneth Bueno, who wasn't here with us here this evening. We'll hope to see him back next week racing on the racetrack. Thank you to Charlie Byer for being our admin for the evening. Shout out, of course, to the rest of the admin team and channel occupants such as Keelan Belsha, JJ Hill, uh, Eli Comerford, Randy Eggers, and JJ Hill. Thank you to my colleagues in the booth, Jane Porter and Nate Polite, for joining me this evening. I'm Francisco Bacalhau saying so long and have a good night. Congratulations to Michael Walls on capturing a 3rd consecutive win. We'll see if he'll make it 4 heading next week to the Music City at Nashville.